In this video, we are going to discuss the healthy sources of cholesterol. I want you to think about healthy as improving HDL, so H for health. HDL really comes from what we call unsaturated fatty acid sources. And there is polyunsaturated and monounsaturated, and you really don't need to sit and learn all the details of the differences. What I want you to remember is if it's an unsaturated fatty acid source, it's likely going to give you more anti-inflammation, more antioxidants, and it's going to really help you thrive. So here I have listed a few great sources of unsaturated fatty acids. What I hope is that you can recognize very clearly all of these sources are ones that really come from the earth. Even when you look at something like fish, very high in healthy unsaturated fatty acids, it's important to realize that the good cholesterol is really coming from the algae that they feed on. Similarly, we have things like seaweed that you might find in sushi, also a fantastic source of HDL. And here we have avocados. This is again a great source. And I want to offer the caveat that when we talk about oil, the cold pressed oil, while it can be a great source, we have to be mindful of the fact that it's going to add to the calorie in terms of caloric content. So too much of anything could be bad for you as well. So do keep that in mind. Now, when we look at our sources of healthy cholesterol, also known as phytosterols or plant-based cholesterols, you can see in this list here, the variety is amazing. And that is why diversity is one of the key rules when it comes to taking in these healthy cholesterols. You want to take in about 2 to 3 variety a week, even every day, if you can have a variety, that can be very good for you. But the second very important rule to go with this is that you want that variety to come in the unprocessed version. When we talk about cholesterol and getting rid of the unhealthy versions of cholesterol, we have to have fiber to allow that unhealthy cholesterol to get out of the body. And where does that fiber come from? If you've watched the previous videos about nutrition, you know it only comes from plant-based sources. So that's really the best thing about your phytosterols. If you consume them in their unprocessed form, you'll be getting both the healthy unsaturated fatty acids as well as the fiber to help you draw out things of the body that you don't want, along with the food for your healthy microbiome. This diversity will also help keep that microbiome diverse, which is another very important concept in nutrition, as you would know with the other videos. Now, take a look at this list over here, and let's key in on, for example, oats. A great way to understand when I say unprocessed version is having oatmeal in the day where you soak it in some type of liquid substance, maybe even heat it up a little bit, add really healthy things like flax seeds or chia seeds. This is a fantastic example of an unprocessed version of this phytosterol. Now let's take that oats and let's make it oat milk. Right? By making it oat milk, you may still get some of the phytosterol, but you're definitely not going to get the fiber, right? We strip away the fiber when we process something into the milk form. Now let's also take something like nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are fantastic in their original form, but once you take them and you make them into a bar, right? The more you process and transform and heat and break them down into something else, you're going to start losing their value. So that's really what I mean by the unprocessed version. Even soybean is a great example. So the ideal would be to take it in its soybean form and use that as a lentil for one of your meals. However, maybe you might choose to transform it into tofu, which is also a very, very great source of unsaturated fatty acids, slightly processed compared to the original soybean. But then you make soy milk, and just like oat milk, you strip away a lot of the fiber. So I do want you to keep that in mind when you are looking at these sources and trying to figure out how to incorporate them into your daily living. This little box over here is just to give you a quick point that certain types of nuts can be much, much higher in their cholesterol level, and we don't want also the body to over-receive that HDL. And so the healthiest sources of nuts really are almonds and walnuts, even better if you're able to soak them for a little bit bit of time, and that's why you want a majority of your handful to be those two. So I hope this was helpful to give you an idea of where you can get your healthy sources of cholesterol, and you really want to get in that diversity and choose that unprocessed version. See you in the next video.